Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This is the Roger Stone Show, presented by Colonial Metals Group.
A man who's gone through hell, but he's kept going, and he's smart, and he's strong, and people love him. Not everybody, but people love him and respect him. Roger Stone.
Now, here's Roger Stone.
Welcome. I'm Roger Stone, and if you love American politics, well, you're in the right place. If you like politics done with style, you're really in the right place. I have a long, unvarnished history of telling the hard truths, criticizing both Republicans and Democrats. Trust me, if I had supported Vice President George Bush after Ronald Reagan, my life would have been much easier. I would have been much wealthier, but I would not have been true to my conservative principles. And I am probably, after President Richard Milhous Nixon, the first man in the country to seriously suggest to New York real estate developer Donald J. Trump that he could not only be a great candidate for president, but he had the capacity to be a great president. Saw the president at Mar-a-Lago night before last. He was in excellent spirits. He was very happy about the win in the House, where key phone calls from President Trump to 5 wavering Republicans ensured that Mike Johnson became the speaker. Now, I am a supporter of Speaker Johnson. I'm disappointed that continuing resolution that he initially agreed to did have $100 million worth of pork in it, new spending specifically in it. I think he might have negotiated a better deal, but I salute him for then moving a stripped-down bill that got the essentials done so the government could continue to kick the can down the road. Hopefully, with now a secure Republican majority in the House, or I should say narrow, but I think a viable Republican majority in the House, depending on Speaker Johnson's skills in getting the rhinos and the firebrands to go together on anything. I mean, he has a difficult job. In his personal dealings with me, I've always found him to be both honorable and have the best interest of the country and the party and our president at heart. But I got a reputation in American politics because I don't dress the same way everybody else does. I believe that maxim, clothes make the man. Actually, in my case, this was driven out of necessity because in my younger days, I was a bodybuilder, and that meant that I had size 44 then shoulders and a 31-inch waist. That meant if you bought a suit off the rack, you could be absolutely guaranteed that when they did the alterations on the pants, the pockets would be next to each other in the back, and that would not be sartorially or fashionably acceptable, which meant you had to have custom clothing mating, which became a luxury that, and when I was making a great deal of money as let's call it a power broker in Washington, D.C., when Black, Manafort, Stone, and Kelly was the hottest public affairs shop in town. And yes, we worked for allies of the United States and closely with the Defense and State Departments as well as others in government to support those who supported the United States. We were called the dictator's lobby, but the people who called us that were largely leftists, and that was kind of the communist anti-Reagan message of the day. But initially, I don't know where I came with this love for clothing, but the need to have things made was wise. Ultimately, when you have custom clothing made, a suit, a sports jacket, pair of odd trousers, as the English call them, they leave a great deal of fabric in the seams so that when you get older and fatter, you can let them out, or should you get thinner, put on muscle, well, then you can have them, taken in. I think it was that I saw this picture of Cab Calloway on the cover of Esquire in I believe it was 1938. And he was wearing these really full-cut trousers, like a 2-inch waistband, a deep reverse pleat. They looked great. Took them to my tailor, and I said, these are the trousers that I want you to make. And he said, well, Mr. Stone, nobody dresses like that anymore. And I said, well, I do. And, of course, the purpose of the fuller trouser is a silhouette. It matches the more softly cut double-breasted or single-breasted jacket. This was the house style of a very famous tailor on Savile Row called Anderson and Shepard. It was very soft-shouldered, no shoulder pads. It was basically knocked off by Alan Flusser, who did the first U.S.-based version of it. There was a Chinese tailor named Chio who had an exclusive private practice in the 50s. He and his wife did the Anderson Shepard silhouette, which was favored by Cary Grant, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., the Duke of Windsor, Fred Astaire, Jack Buchanan, many of the fashion plates of the day. So I took these trousers in and I had them made. Anyway, I used to look forward every year for a column by Mr. Blackwell, who was a syndicated Hollywood designer and critic who put out an international best and worst dressed list every year. And this included stars and starlets, Hollywood directors, titans of business, athletes, actors, actresses, socialites. And his commentary could be withering. It could make you as a fashion icon, or it could destroy you. And in 2008, I read that Mr. Blackwell had passed away. So I decided to adopt this theme. And for 16 years, I have continuously published a list of the international best and worst dressed people in the world. It's not at all political. I've had many Democrats, such as Senator Ted Kennedy and even Joe Biden, have been on my list. It is all about style, not fashion. See, fashion is fleeting, but style is forever. I published no list in 2020 because I was gagged by a federal judge from having any public communications unconstitutionally during the Mueller witch hunt. And I had no list published for 2021 because, well, my wife had just been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer almost immediately after my pardon. And now I'm happy to report, through the healing power of Jesus Christ, she is still now more than 3, almost 4 years in total remission. She is healthy and stronger than ever. These Cuban-American women are very tough. So for 16 years, I have done the list. This is my 2024 list. Now, 2024 has brought us many curveballs politically, socially, culturally, and, of course, sartorially. We remind you again, this is not about politics. It's about style. You see, fashion is fleeting, but style is both timeless and it has to be enduring. Skirts can go up, skirts can go down, neckties may be wide or thin, but the double-breasted navy blazer with the gold military buttons in dark navy blue will always be in style. The little black cocktail dress will always look smashing. A seersucker suit, it will always be appropriate after Memorial Day and Labor Day. When we come back, my long-anticipated 2024 International Men's and Women's Best and Worst Dressed list. You're tuned in to The Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Audio Network. You're in the right place, and stand by to hear some of the most best dressed, extraordinarily perfectly dressed, and some of the worst dressed hobos out on the planet. We'll be right back.
This is the Roger Stone Show.
Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant. 9.5 plus pH, now in cans.
Refreshing.
Made for every way you move.
Should I run a marathon?
Let's start with finishing that water. Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant, now in a sleek can. For those with a taste for taste. Grab yours today.
This episode is brought to you by GM Genuine Parts and AC Delco. Get the most out of your vehicle with GM Genuine Parts and AC Delco original equipment. The only parts designed, engineered, tested, and backed by General Motors. You can find your perfect fit for most makes and models and choose from 3 tiers of parts, including GM OE or gold and silver aftermarket parts. Visit gmparts.com for more information.
How does PwC take your company to the leading edge? They bring the sharpest minds in tech to your team, so you can bring the ideas that will transform your business. They're passionate about your industry, so you can walk into any room with every advantage. And they're with you every step of the way, so you can know you're headed in the right direction. PwC builds for what's next, so you can get there now. Get started at pwc.com/us/leading edge.
Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump.
They went after a guy named Roger Stone, who's sitting in the office. And I'll say this in front of Roger, he's no baby. And right now, he's cleaner than anybody in this place. No, they treated him very unfairly.
All of these presidents relied on one man to secure their seat in the Oval Office. That man is Roger Stone.
Roger Stone.
This is the Roger Stone Show, presented by Colonial Metals Group. Now, here's Roger Stone.
You heard him. That was President Donald Trump, who has won a victory that is so sweeping. It is a testimony to his resilience, his persistence, his stamina, his focus, his energy, and his courage, because they tried to kill him twice. They tried to bankrupt him. They tried to keep him off the ballot in 50 states. They've tried to prosecute him for crimes that are free. First Amendment expressed doubt about the last election, trying to criminalize that. They are trying still to put him in jail. We'll talk about that a little later. But it is, I'm proud to be a supporter of the president. And as I say, he was in great spirits when I saw him at his palatial home, Mar-a-Lago, which was once the home of Meriwether Post, the woman who was a socialite, heiress to the Post cereal fortune. It had been her mansion. She left it to the federal government when she died, and it sat boarded up for almost 15 years before Donald Trump bought it in an auction. And it was actually President Richard Nixon and his best friend Bebe Rebozo had traveled there in the early days of the Nixon presidency, or the late days, I think, the mid days, to see if it was a suitable Southern White House. But they concluded that it didn't match Nixon's everyman, working man image. So it remained boarded up until Donald Trump bought it at a bargain basement price and turned it into one of the greatest attractions in the club world, and a Spanish Mediterranean style masterpiece, which he painstakingly restored. It really is breathtaking. Anyway, let's get to our international best and worst dressed list. As I say, this is a tradition I picked up from the late Mr. Blackwell. The list gets harder and harder to do every year because people don't think much about the most basic rule of dressing, which is as I wrote in my book, Stone's Rules, which has a foreword by Tucker Carlson, the important thing is to always be dressed appropriately for the activity in which one is going to engage. In other words, one would not wear workout clothes to a fancy restaurant. One would not wear a three-piece suit to a bowling alley. Just be appropriately dressed for what you're going to be doing. There were certain people who had been on the list so many years that we kind of kicked them upstairs to iconic style. I'm talking about former White House economic advisor and WABC, 77 WABC radio host Larry Kudlow, CNN's Mike Smerconish, who's also over there at Sirius, presidential daughter Ivanka Trump, NBC's Josh Mankiewicz with Frontline, rocker Mick Ronson, New York City PR whiz Audrey Gelman, all of them in the Hall of Fame, all of them now declared fashion icons, being joined this year by Melania Trump, who's been honored in previous years. She joins this special category. She is, without any question, the most stylish, chic, cultured, educated, kindest, well-dressed First Lady since Jackie Kennedy. It is amazing that she never got on the cover of Vogue, which she richly deserves. They put Dr. Jill on the cover of Vogue. She makes my worst dressed list. But Melania goes to the iconic status. If you saw her outfits in either Africa or India, particularly one where she's wearing a pith helmet, or if you saw her at the last inauguration or any official outing, she is the best dressed First Lady since Jackie O. She wore a powder blue suit at the 2017 inauguration. Some wags are already wondering what she will wear at this year's inauguration. King Charles moves up. The reigning monarch's politics are not mine, but then this list is not about politics. So whether he is getting his suits on Savile Row, and he's getting his shirts and ties on the old Burlington, the reigning monarch refuses to give the paparazzis bird dog him into anything where he looks anything worse than his best. It has been said that he has his suit jackets made at one tailor while his trousers are made at another. That is the role of a monarch, of course, to look the part. So he makes our list. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., this bulldog attorney, an heir to the Kennedy clan, keeps in shape. He's kept that vigorous Kennedy look in Vogue. He's got kind of an Ivy style, but he always wears a very thin 1960s style tie, reminiscent of his uncle and his father, John F. Kennedy and Senator Robert F. Kennedy. They're joined by Charlene, the Princess of Monaco, on this year's best dressed list as fashion icons. Yes, a quick mention to Eric Adams. He is both the best dressed and probably the most corrupt mayor since, well, he's better dressed than Jimmy Walker. He's probably not more corrupt than William O'Dwyer, but it's possible. Sylvester Stallone, I met him recently at Mar-a-Lago. He was impeccably attired in the sophisticated double-breasted suit with a sophisticated stripe. I inquired about his perfect tailoring, and Sly told me that it had been custom-made for him in his role in his Paramount hit, The Tulsa King. Riley Keough, the granddaughter of Elvis Presley, star of hit shows like The Terminal, Daisy Jones, and The Six. She hasn't been co-opted by that Hollywood weirdo wardrobe. She's one of the few celebrities who attended the Met Gala in something that didn't look like a blind person stitched together on a bad acid trip. Stephen A. Smith, the ESPN analyst, makes our list for the first year, sartorially inclined, personality in his clothing and his online persona. Not his first year on the list, and I doubt it will be the last. When we come back to the Roger Stone Show, we're going to wrap up this year's best and worst list, and we're going to be met by George Bahaisi of Bahaisi Tweets, who is one of the hottest, most important influencers in the country today. You don't want to miss that, because it's time to hear from the millennials and the younger generations about what is moving America right here on The Roger Stone Show.
They come running to the proudest circus man.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.